It is so incredible that you are here. I am Rising Phoenix Aurora. Wow, you have gotten yourself here. Maybe perhaps through typing in Tartaria or Antarctica or past life regression or, even topics that we've been touching base upon since the beginning of my career 8 years ago about the truth, about disclosure, about what really is, out there as far as the New World Order agenda. It's been incredible to be kind of being in the front lines of delivering the content that we have been delivering. And wow, incredible is our content. It's so versatile. I mean, for real. I mean, you don't even have to go say it to like a conference with many different speakers, because we cover it all here, don't we? You name it, it is covered. It is quite beautiful. So in case you don't know who I am, you could go to my website, risingphoenixaurora.com. Thank you for following your heart to mine. And we have over 900 videos worth in content. I am all over Rumble, YouTube, TikTok. Make sure you even Odyssey, odyssey.com has all my videos as well. I do host retreats and workshops all over the world. My first international retreat is going to be in Ireland this year, and during the August 9th portal, and as well as my very soon retreat in a couple weeks is going to be in California, Sequoia, Yosemite Park, the Sequoia area. Come get aura hypnosis, entity removal, and raw Reiki and entity removal as well, healed. Come learn how to become your most organic timeline, how to walk your most organic timeline by removing everything that's attached, anything that's dark, that is not truly divinely organically yours, because that's what also we've been teaching through our courses and all our videos this whole time, that you are your own self-healer, that no one can heal yourself but yourself. So come learn how to do that, get all the yuckiness and all the trauma and all the attachments that is within you, and all that you are, whether it's past life or future alien races or wherever you're at in whatever dimension. Come learn how to go into it quantumly, through quantum physics, in the quantum realm at a micro level, and how to oscillate your vessel so that it's not vibrating to the lower vibrational attachments, parasites, and so on. Yeah, so we teach you how to do that. It's incredible. So that is again June 9th, and then otherwise August 9th. It is so beautiful to be here with you. So in case, a little intro to what we're going to be going through is The Last American by J.A. Mitchell, and this book was written back in the 1800s. And it was one of my discoveries as I travel, and I asked the divine and the angels to show me, 1889 to be exact, to show me what is next to be written. So I found a stack of books, and this is part 3. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, I would suggest you do go back and watch it, because this is a continuance to what we've already covered. Yeah, so I host as well as retreats and workshops. I also host workshops and then courses on how to teach you how to become your own, basically, oracle, your own reader, and all the courses you can find under Patreon and also my website. I teach live or Isis priest course, which is for both for feminine and masculine. That's this Sunday. Make sure you go sign up for that. Come remote view and open your third eye, and come learn how to use these glands that are inside your brain and your brain overall, your consciousness, to really become the quantum seer of your experience, and how to anchor in most positive timelines into your world, and how to see beyond what's just the physical, because the physical is the illusion, the physical is the third dimension. So come learn how to see what's beyond fourth, fifth, sixth, and on dimensions. And you do that through the Isis Priestess Priest course. And we say that sacredly, we just call it that because that is very sacred. But you are ready if you're watching this video. So join us that, sign up under Patreon for that to support this video and all that I do. Sign up to Patreon to any of our courses. I'm probably gonna reference the different courses that I'm teaching right now, like the Egyptian course, which is the most expansive course that you could ever honestly listen to and learn sacredly. It's Unveiling the Mystics of Egypt. We're on part 8, we just delivered, and then right now we've channeled Tesla, Nikola Tesla, I've channeled Einstein, so we go into deep content, and you can sign up for that under my Patreon as well. Okay, but otherwise, all my information is found on my website. Purchase my books. I am an author. I've written 2 books. I'm in writing book 3 right now. So Galactic Soul History of the Universe and Multiverse teaches you the memory of both our creation and then individual souls that have journeyed throughout all the different dimensions. And we're obviously not the only planet or conscious, construct. The stars are infinite, the universe and multiverse is infinite. So come learn about that through these book series. And just, the best ways that we discover ourselves is sometimes by learning and hearing other people's experiences. Thank you. Let's get started. Wow. So thank you for listening to my intros, as I am my own endorser and my own sponsor. So I appreciate you listening in. All right, let's get started. So you can add your questions there under chat. And we have Gina there. She's supervising chat for us. Okay. So how you all? I know we've been waiting for some time. We had so many videos to cover before we got to this one, but they're all within divine timing. And then next Friday video, I won't be here because I'm going to be on Patreon live. We're going to be going into remote viewing the North Pole and why it's restricted there. So that's another, I think it's like part 2 or 3. So you sign up for that through the Nikola Tesla channeling extra sensitive series we have going on. And okay, on Patreon. Here we go. Thank you for all of you who are just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so wow. So we have part 1 and part 2. So we are currently in part 3, and we're on page 24. So here we go. All right, so quick summary in case you are just running into this content right now. There's 1,000 years missing. I'm known as a galactic historian and spiritual revolutionist as well, so that's where we go through a lot of the Earth's true history. So in America specifically, there's 1,000 years missing. Something happened. And you're gonna have to watch part 1 and part 2 to understand that deeper. But I'll show you really quick. The numbers are off, the dates are off, as we already know. They've changed the majority of, pretty much all of Earth's history. And so just to give you an example here, right? They claim this is 1768, but it's not a 1, it's a J. J, you see that? So that means that this is not 1802. This was, when you look at all the older looking buildings all over the Americas or the world, they do have sometimes either an M or a J right in front of it. And that means that it was not 1802, 802. So what happened to the 1,000 years that are missing? What is going on here? Where I have to make an announcement right now, guys. This is huge. There's Yeshua there. All right. If you haven't watched Channeling Grandmother Anna, who was his grandmother, Yeshua's grandmother, you definitely want to go watch that, because grand and putting more Tartaria and Earth history put together, okay? And then from the fall of Atlantis that happened on Earth, okay? So go watch that. And she started to explain that there is tons to talk about that we don't even know. We also, as you know, found in the video of Yeshua Just Walked the Earth, we found the archive maps of him showing exactly when he was born in the early 1500s, 1500, and then he crucified on 1633. We have those maps. Check out that video. We'll add all the links later. Now, so now that we've discovered, this is huge, y'all. Now that we've discovered, that Yeshua was just walking the earth a couple hundred years ago. So we're looking at 1500 to 1633. So he was 133 years old. what happened in those 133 years, Yeshua? What were you up to? What did you do? What was the world like? This Angel Bumps, we are going to start that series where he's going to tell us day by day his birth, the challenges that he had to go through, the ways that he traveled the world, the ways that he reached the different leaders, and the way that he activated the hearts all over the earth. And it wasn't just about heart activating. He was strong, also fierce, fiery, empowered in his power, for sure. And that's what he taught people. So I want to share, there was an aura practitioner who had a guided meditation, a vision, where he saw, where she saw Yeshua in the front line with an army behind him, sword in hand and armor and everything, against the Merlin, the artificial intelligence, and a battle. And yeah, so we're gonna go into that, he didn't just, love and light. He was, I mean, that's not even real. So he was entity removing, going against entities all over the earth that were harming others, and trying to assist people to stay in their hearts and not get twisted and pulled into those inverted matrices. So he was right there, and he was the leader of that. So woo, get ready, you all. That's coming up soon. We're going to add that to our series that we are currently, several series that we have going on. You guys excited? Let me know in comments if you're excited about that. Wow. Okay, so I wanted to announce that, but let's get started. So page 24, and I'm going to share the screen with you. Someone said that you can find it digitally. In our last video, somebody added the link there on part 2. We'll add it here again for you. Make a note, Gina, we'll add that for them. So you can digitally view this book if you can't find the original. I believe there's also a newer version of it too, printed, that you can find under the web, internet. Okay, so let's look at that. So we are on page 24 for those of you who do have the book, and let's see if we can finish up this book today. Yeah, let's see, but I never know exactly how it's gonna go. All right. Okay, so let's share the screen here. So here we are on page 24. Okay, so what was right before that sentence there? Let's read what's before. So, and are these things lost? I ask. We know many of the forces said not full, but the knowledge of applying them is gone. The very elements seem to have been their slaves. Cities were illuminated at night by artificial moons whose radiance eclipsed the moon above. So basically he's talking about lights, right? And how over here in Americas we were very advanced in this during this time. So again, and if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, but hopefully you have, there's that 1,000 years missing, something happened to the people, and why they needed to reseed humanity here over when the English supposedly, right, came and discovered it, but not really discovered it. Yeshua talks about it, and Yeshua just walked the earth. And so what happened to the people? And this book tells us what happened to the people the 1,000 years, because over in the Asia England area, they knew that something happened over here, and it was like a plague or something, or a virus, or right, or it was just shielded. So we'll continue to go through that, but part 1 and part 2 will help you understand that. Okay, so yeah, cities were illuminated at night by artificial moons whose radiance eclipsed the moon above. Strange devices were in use by which they conversed together when separated. So another way, cell phones. Okay, by a journey of many days. Some of these appliances exist today in Persian museums. So again, these are the Persians that found Americas at some point. Okay, the superstitions of our ancestors allowed their secrets to be lost during those dark centuries, from which at last we are walking. At this point, we heard the voice of Baz-Jakas in the distance. They had found a spring and he was calling to us. Such heat we had never felt, and it grew hotter each hour. Near the river where we ate, it was more comfortable, but even there, the perspiration stood upon us in great drops. Our faces shone like fishes. It was our wish to explore further, but the streets were like ovens, and we returned to Zlatoth, which is, I think, their ship. So they returned back to their ship. So let's understand that. So back to the images I was showing you earlier. Okay, so we know that we started to speak about how something happened here in the all over Earth, specifically after the fall of Atlantis. The sun became very radioactive and very hot. So that's why when we look at Earth's history, you will find, they call them ancient ruins, but you will find openings into either mountains, underground, directly into stone, because they had to go inwards to basically survive the radioactive or the heat that was happening. Now, what we know is that the sun, the giant trees that are cut down that are now called stumps or mountains or whatever, these trees illuminated the light out through them because they had crystals within them. Oh, look at that. That looks like a footprint. So these are just pictures of, underground cities where humanity needed to go into to survive. Some of these are really questionable too, like how did they get all the way up here? Wouldn't you need wings? I mean, let's just look at facts. This is common sense. You definitely would need wings, or you would need to have hooves. Are you a centaur? Are you a satyr? It's the only thing that could be surviving in those really high locations. Okay. Look at that. It's very interesting, huh? So that is where we're at here to understand how hot the sun was. So what happened was that once they cut the trees down, and some of the major giant trees, especially from Atlantis, the major one that was an oak tree there, the sun and the moon needed to be created. So basically what the sun and the moon are, what we've learned is that they're crystals, and they're the light that illuminated out from these giant trees. They are the light of that tree created into a crystal. So the sun and the moons, so the two suns and the moons, the dark and the light moons, are crystals, and they're celestial beings. Okay. So that's why they illuminate light out, because they're a crystal and they connect to all the other suns all over creation. You understand that? And there was one other thing I wanted to show you about that. Let's see. Oh, okay, I was echoing. I'm good now? Okay, thank you. Hopefully that is good there. Okay, so giant trees, I mean, we've been covering this for a long time, but let me see if I can find some giant trees to show you really quick. See. Find a video. The fastest here. Video images. Tons of these videos. Thank you to everyone who makes all these videos, and I save them here. All right, let's see. I don't know. Let's click one of these. There's so many. Click this one maybe. All right, so these are located all over Earth. I mean, that is an obvious tree, right? And they call them all sorts of horrible names. Like there's one in Utah called Devil's Tower. Here's another one. Okay, so these were giant, and they're what lit up the light all over the earth. Because if you think about it, when you're standing in front of a tree, what happens if you're in front of a tree? It blocks the sun, right? So how could it be that you would get light in a but back then we're in a 5D, right? But how could you get light if the trees were that gigantic and if the sun was up in orbit, right? Well, obviously you couldn't, because the trees would block out completely shadow, especially if they are this big. I mean, and they reach the.
So now that we got all the science crap out the.
So they reach the crystalline energy above us, and just like Yeshua talked about in the Bible, the crystalline firmament above us. Okay, see them? I mean, yeah, giant trees. Okay. All right. So when they were cut down, then what happened is that the sun again and the moons were created. The suns and moons were created from the trees, big giant trees, the major ones, to give us light still, because then the trees couldn't give us light anymore because we cut them down, unfortunately. Or some of them just shattered. Like there's one that right now we're remote viewing North Pole, and there was the most giant one was at the North Pole. That's why it's restricted now. And that one did shatter like a crystal would shatter, especially when the collective on Earth decided to digress down into from the 5th to the 4th to the 3rd dimension. It couldn't hold that crystalline construct anymore, so it shattered. It broke like a crystal. Okay, all right, we understand that. So let's continue on here. So we're on page 24 still. Let me share that. Okay. So you could understand how hot it is, right? So then he says, as I sat upon the deck this afternoon, recording the events of the morning in this journal, Bojas and Adapate approached, asking permission to take the small boat and visit the great statue. So again, they're in New York. You guys remember, hopefully. I know it's been a minute, but yeah, they're in New York, and these are his companions, the Persian Prince, so that are with him. Thereupon Nasful informed us that the statue in ancient times held aloft a torch illuminating the whole harbor, and oh, beautiful. And he requested Ad El Pot to try and discover how the light was accomplished. Beautiful. So, okay. So sounds like the Statue of Liberty was lit up once, huh? Is that lit up now? Text me, Gina. I don't know if it's lit up now. So they returned toward evening with this information that the statue is not of solid bronze, but hollow. Yes. That they ascended by means of iron stairway into the head of the image and looked down upon us through its eyes. Yes, oh, it does light up. That's good, thank you. But the statue is not of solid bronze, but hollow. That they ascended by means of an iron stairway into the head of the image and looked down upon us through its eyes. That Adelpat in the dark sat to rest himself upon a nest of yellow flies with black stripes, that these flies inserted stings into Adelpat's person, causing him to exclaim loudly and descend the stairs with unexpected agility. So sounds like bees that stung him. That Baz Jacques and the others pushed on through the upraised arm and stood at last upon the bronze torch itself, that the city lay beneath them like a map, covering the country for miles away on both sides of the river. As for illuminating the harbor, Baz Jacques says Nafol is mistaken. There are no vestiges of anything that could give a light, no vessel for oil or traces of fire. Ah, so then it's an ether light, isn't it? It's an etheric light, just like Nikola Tesla taught us. Naful says Jakaz is an idiot that he shall go himself. He's like, he doesn't believe. How could you light up without, oil or whatever, some kind of fire? Okay, so we're looking at 1889, right? And remember, they try to say that this is like a children's book. Nowadays, that's what they try to say, but there's absolutely no way. I mean, if it was a children's books, this is kind of twisted. This is a horror children's book to be teaching, to be giving, reading out to children. You're gonna scare some kids for real. So, all right, and then May 13th. Wow, that's cool. What? We're in that month. That is crazy. Okay, so May 13th. Okay. Okay, so Gina says it doesn't light up, but it's illuminated by 16 floodlights. Whoa. The torch was replaced in 1985 with a replica. I bet you that torch used to light up, for sure. Okay, so May 13th. A startling discovery this morning. By landing higher up the river, we explored a part of the city where the buildings are of a different character from those we saw yesterday. Naful considers them the dwellings of the rich. In shape, they are like bricks set on end, all very similar, uninteresting, and monotonous. Sounds like some of those buildings in New York, huh, guys? Some of them are pretty similar to one another, or in most suburbs, right? We noticed one where the doors and shutters were still in place, but rotting from the fantastic hinges that supported them. A few hard blows brought down the outer doors in a dusty heap, and we stepped upon the marble floor. Within our eyes met an unexpected sight. Furniture, statues, dingy pictures in crumbling frames, images in bronze and silver, mirrors, curtains, all were there, but in every condition of decay. We knocked open the iron shutters and let the light into rooms sealed up for centuries. In the first one lay a rug from Persia. You loving the wind chimes? Oh, thank you. I was wondering, hoping that they weren't too loud. So yeah. So every decor is still there, right? You think if people moved out, they're gonna take their items with them, right? Like their curtains, whatever, their decorations. But instead, everything is there. Isn't that interesting? And we'll keep discovering why that is. Even the rugs are still there. It does get a little creepy. So we're on page 27 now. Faded, mouth-eaten, gone in places, it seemed to ask with dying eyes to be taken hence. I think he's talking about the rug. My heart grew soft over the ancient rug, and I caught a foolish look in Devel Heidel's eye. As we climbed the moldering stair to the floor above, I expressed surprise that cloth and woodwork should hold together for so many centuries, also saying, these Americans were not so unworthy as we think them. Yeah, think about it. So think about like what can happen in our time space, 100 years. So for 1,000 years, they didn't know of these people. No one went to visit it because again, something happened there, and they thought, especially they were superstitious. They were like, thought it was a curse or something, right? So, and yet these things are still holding up, so beautiful and detailed, right? So also think about like, okay, in 100 years, how much the history could be changed. So 1,000 years, like he said, they're not as unworthy as they think. They thought we were the Americans back then. Okay, so because I mean, all sorts of kind of like ideas could come forth, like what happened to them, where they just were they a plague, a virus, what happened to them, right? So all sorts of stories can be made up on what happened to them. So we are not as unworthy as we think. So that may be, said Level Hedwig, but the Persian rug is far the freshest object we have seen, and that perhaps was ancient when they brought it. They bought it. On this floor we and so Persian too, it's Persian rug. It's a Persian rug. And they're from Persia. So which means that these Americans were traveling and sailors as well before they whatever happened to them. Okay? Because they have items from aboard, across the ocean. So on this floor we entered a dim chamber, spacious, once richly furnished. When Lavelle had pushed open the shutters and drew aside the ragged curtains, we stared at the sight before us. Upon a wide bed in the center of the room lay a human form, the long yellow hair still clinging to the head. It was more a mummy than a skeleton. Around upon the bed lay moldering fragments of the once white sheets that covered it. I'm telling you guys, this is not a child's story. On the fingers of the left hand glistened two rings which drew our attention. One held a diamond of great price, the other was composed of sapphires and diamonds most curiously arranged. Wow. Okay, so now we know what happened so far to these people, huh? Why is this woman laying in her bed? What's going on? Everything is still furnished in the home, and she's laying in her bed dead from centuries of laying there. So she's a mummy, a skeletal. So it makes you question when they seated all the new orphans here from all over. Some of them were orphan clones or just orphan from the wars. Back when they supposedly discovered America, they had to clear out the bodies, didn't they? I mean, they would have to clear the bodies of these people laying around inside their homes. Yeah. So a reset, like always, that those different resets that the aliens do, or the negative aliens inside human bodies pretend to be humans. Next page. So we stood a moment in silence, gazing sadly upon the figure. Poor woman, I said, left us to die alone. It was probable, said Noful. She was already dead, and her friends departing, perhaps in haste, were unable to burn the body. Yeah. Did they burn their dead? I asked. In my history, 'twas right. They buried them in the earth like potatoes and left them to rot. And Naful answered, at one time it was so, but later on, as they became more civilized, the custom was abandoned. Is it possible, I asked, that this woman has been lying here almost 1,000 years, guys? 1,000 years, and yet so well preserved. There's our proof. That's the 1,000 years missing. They literally moved into buildings and homes of deceased people. Kind of gross. So they just kind of moved them out, right? And moved in. Where are those bodies? Probably buried somewhere like potatoes, like they said. Goodness. Let's hope they had a lot of Lysol and Clorox, right? Oh my god. Yeah. Dry heat. Yeah. So let's continue on. So they buried them, yeah. Okay. Talked about that. Okay. So possible she lay there for 1,000 years. Yes, it is. That's exactly what happened. She's been laying there for 1,000 years. I also am surprised, said Naful. I can only account for it by the extreme dryness and the air in absorbing the juices of the body and retarding decay. Wow, okay. So somehow the conditions have kind of slowed the decay. Then lifting tenderly in his hands some of the yellow hair, he said, she was probably very young, scarce 20. Were their women fair? I asked. They were beautiful, he answered, with graceful forms and lovely faces, a pleasure to the eye. Also, were they gay and sprightly with much animation? And they don't mean gay like LGBT. They mean, no pun intended there. They mean, of course, we love our LGBT, but we're just talking about the program ones that Biden did for 4 years. Also, so yeah, so were they gay and sprightly with such animation? Also, were gay and sprightly with fun animation. Okay, beautiful. They were happy. Yep. Gay means happy. So here is an image of. Here's an image of what he drew out, because in his diary as a Persian prince, he drew out some of what he saw. So there she is. She's laying there, and there they are. You know, looking at it in the moldering chamber. So next page, 31. Okay. So thereupon cried Leuhide, here are the first words thou hast uttered, O Naful, that caused me to regret the extinction of this people. There is ever a place in my heart for a blushing maiden. Then let thy grief be of short life, responded Naful, for American damsels were not of that description. Blushing was an art they practiced little. The shyness thou so lovest in a Persian maiden was them an unknown thing. So in other words, they weren't shy, they were strong, right? Like very kind of woman power, you know? Yeah, women activists, I guess. Our shrinking daughters bear no resemblance to these Western products. They strode the public streets with roving eyes and unblushing faces, holding free converse with men as with women, bold of speech and free of manner, going and coming as it pleased them best. That's right. No man tells us what to do. They knew much of the world, managed their own affairs, and devised their own marriages, often changing their minds and marrying another man, another than the betrothed. Yeah, the world was definitely very different, and it continues on, you know, because even like when you look at some of those videos in the 1930s and 1920s, like there's a man, like there's like they're in court. I saw a picture, like there's a, I think it was 1930s. There's a woman divorcing her husband, and he's like on his knees and he's like begging her, don't divorce me, you know. It's like, and she's like, no, I mean, whatever he did, I don't know what he did, but so you know, they were treated more in awe, you could say, the woman, and with more respect. Okay, so let's see. So he says, again, changing their minds and marrying another than the betrothed. Bismillah, and men could love their things. I don't know what that means. Bismillah, and men could love these things. Might be Persian. Can you look that up, Gina? Text me. What does that mean? Bismillah. And men could love these things, exclaimed Levelheed, which with much feeling. So it appears. But I should say the American bride had much the freshness of a dried fig. Okay. So she said she had, said Naful, but those who know only the dried fig have no regret for the fresh fruit. But dried figs are really good. But the fault was not with the maidens, brought up like boys with the same studies and mental development. I have a practitioner who I do one-on-one sessions with, and she's so beautiful. She's always talking about how, you know, how free she is, and how you know, she's American. She does her thing. She gets, you know, if she needs help, she calls her gardener. She, you know, no man tells her what to do, right? So It's incredible how these lands have allowed for women to be free, huh? And I really do feel that it goes back to the video that I did, the Mexican Trump, where I spoke about the Virgen de Guadalupe, basically Mother Mary, and she is protecting all these lands, allowing you to be free. Which I want to say, not gonna make a video on it. I'll think about it. Nah, I'm not gonna make a video about it, but I want to tell you that the fall of the Vatican is here. It is here. Okay. The Pope Francis is the last pope, and the reason why he is the last pope, because he is the last pope with power. And what does that mean? That means last pope with satanic child sacrifice power. Every other pope after him will have no power, no matter how hard they try. So what I can also explain is that when you watch the video of Mexican Trump, we talked about goddess, the goddess of, you've seen it in like the Book of Life, La Santa Muerte, the goddess of death. And which her name is Mictacatl. So Mictacatl, but so I wonder the Mayans, maybe if they have another name. Also known as Apuch. Doesn't really matter the name, she doesn't really care about the name. But she is what happened is that with their satanic rituals and the way that they came in and slaughtered the indigenous over here is, and they also conquered, say, the indigenous, especially down over in Mexico, reforming them with the Spaniard and the Catholicism, which we know is very dark. So here, I'm going to show you a quick picture. Let me see if I find a quick picture. This is what she looks like. So she has there. Kind of. This is the fastest. I didn't realize I was going to talk about this. Otherwise, I would have prepared something better. But yeah, so she looks like this, like a Mayan goddess god, but she has a skeletal face. Now, what's really amazing about this goddess Mictacatl, I'm probably saying that very wrong. Mictacatl. Zen, if you're listening, what is her name? I feel like there's another name that we had found, and I think it starts with an N. I talked about it in the Mexican Trump. Okay, so what's really amazing about her is that most goddesses, they bring life, they bring rebirth, right? So back to the story where they conquered and raped the children and so on, especially down in Mexico. So what happened was that when you watch the Mexican Trump, you'll hear the story with Mother Mary. Now, Mother Mary is the Divine Mother. There was a time where she is also really all the mothers, Divine Mother is. And so this goddess is able to take away power in life. She ends life. So it's like how you touch something, say like kind of like Moana, where they touch and then life comes, or then you touch something with perhaps fire or lava and it disintegrates and then there's no life there. So this is what she does. She takes away power and life from those who are inverted. Just the inverted ones, the ones that have been given a chance over and over, and they don't want to listen and they continue to rape and kill children. They know exactly, like the priests and the Catholics and or basically all, you know, the deep state and the Illuminati, they know who I'm talking about because they know her. And here's another picture. And she is what I can say is she's coming after them. She's been freed from Mexico. She is free, and now she's taking their power away. And that is why you're seeing some of the unveiling all over. And she has the power to do this because you are on her land. So you can look into more of the Mayan and the Aztec and understanding to that. So just want to tell you about that. They don't have any more power. Okay. All right. So what else? Okay. Definitely some good news there. End of corruption. Okay. So what I can tell you is they know about her and they're very scared of her. They're very scared. You forgot about her. They still know because they have the books that they stole from us. Okay. All right, so let's continue on. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so Gina said basmala is like saying in the name of God, or like we would say, oh my God. Oh, okay. So that's what that means when he said that in the book. Okay. Thank you, Gina. Okay. So here we are. You can see that, right? You should be able to see it. Page 32. Text me if you can't see it. Otherwise, I'll continue to go. Okay. All right. So then we are on page 32. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay. So 32. But the fault was not with the maidens brought up like boys with the same studies and mental development. The womanly part of their nature gradually vanished as their minds expanded. Vigor of intellect was the object of women's education. The Level-Hyde explained with great disgust, praises to Allah for his aid in exterminating such people. Sounds like a man in his machismo or ego would say that. Oh, how dare these women be free. And he walked away from the bed and began looking about the chamber. In a moment he hastened back to us, saying, here are more jewels, also money. Yeah, she's connected with the Day of the Dead too, yeah. So it's called La Santa Muerte, the saints of death, yeah. Okay. So let's see. So here's more jewels, also money. Naful eagerly took the pieces. Money, he cried, money will tell us more than pages of history. There were silver coins of different sizes and 2 small pieces of copper. Naful studied them closely. The latest date is 1937, he said. A little. The face on back, or not 1937, because if you notice, it's an I, not a 1. But yeah, the face and back of one of the silver coins. So we're looking at, okay, so we take away the J or the I that's on that coin. That makes it 937. So it sounds like, you all, that in 937 is when they were wiped out. But what does that mean? So let's figure that out, okay? 937. So that would have been a year. Okay, so that would have been 937 years. Let me find this. Hold on. I'm gonna find this in the Akashic. Goodness. 937. Okay, so let's think about this for a minute. Okay. 37. Talk to Divine Mother and have her tell me. Okay. So technically it was 937 for them when they passed on, and it seems like it was almost about 900 years after the fall of Atlantis ish. Again, we were turning into like a fourth dimensional state where time constructs started beginning after the fall of Atlantis. 5D, no time construct. 4D, 3D, 3D is full time construct. 4D is not so much in between, kind of. So if they were, so then they were 937. Okay. Is it sharing the live chat? Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. Let me stop sharing and figure that out. Hold on. Share it again. Oh, sharing the screen. Funny. Okay, so then there's the 1,000 years missing. So technically, it seems like somewhere their demise was in 937. Then there's 1,000 years, and that's why the J and the I are there. Okay. When they come over and they discover them. Okay, and they're telling us that, for example, these buildings were just built, say in 1937 or 1800s or 1700s, but really they were built back then in 700, 800, 900 or so on, whatever stated on their building. You understand? So there it is. There's the 1,000 missing. Okay, let me make sure I explained that correctly. Yeah, and they just moved in. Does that make sense? Okay. So could, wait a minute. So like the coins, guys, what if the coins we're using are like from dead people? Those of you who collect coins. Okay. We have to look into that. So what is the oldest coin found? Gina, can you look that up? What is the oldest coin found? And not removing that one, that it's not a one, it's an I or a J, right? So what's the archive oldest coin found? Let me know. Okay. And they're using the same thing that we are using, like copper and silver, to make these coins. $50. It's interesting. It's a $50 too. So our $50 from those times too. All right. While you come up with that, we're on page 33. More than 1,000 years ago, but the piece may have been in circulation some years before the woman died. Also, it may have been coined the very year of her death. Exactly. It bears the head of Dennis, the last of the Hypnosis dictators. Can you look into that, Gina? And text me if there is any information on Dennis, the last of the Hypnosis dictators. The race is supposed to have become extinct before 990 of this era. Okay, so that's when it became extinct. There's the confirmation. 990 before this era. Yeah, it was already called the United States of America or America. So I then said, thou has never told us, O Naful, the cause of their disappearance. There were many causes, he answered. The Americans themselves were of English origin, but people from all parts of Europe came here in vast numbers. Although the original comers were vigorous and hardly the effect of climate upon succeeding generations was fatal, they became flat-chested and thin with scanty hair, fragile teeth, and weak digestions. Sounds like, okay. So if they were from, so it wasn't just, you all, it wasn't just the first time that the English came and invaded and repopulated Americas. It's at least the second time or more that they've done this, and they weren't able to hold the vibration, so they became ill. Which makes sense with when you watch the Mayan and Atlantean series and how we have all the pyramids and how they're building them and activating them. If you were not in matching vibration to the 5D, I could see how their bodies would become frail like this and die. because in other words, if they're not in matching vibration, their physical vessel, their carbon base would start deteriorating. That makes sense as well. Wow. Okay. So let's see. But the people from all parts of Europe came here in vast numbers. Although the original comers were vigorous and hardy, the effect of climate upon succeeding generations was fatal. So it's a bit kind of like if you go to Egypt and you enter the tombs, or more like temples, and then you invade their sacred spaces, you're gonna have a curse on you. That's why a lot of those guys, had curses and they died and so on. Why it took them even 2,000 years, you all. Egypt was abandoned for 2,000 years because Cleopatra and the last civilization moved up over to Grand Canyon. You can watch that on their Patreon. To Grand Canyon, and then what happened was that Egypt was abandoned for 2,000 years before the Romans moved into it and pretended that they were Egyptian, because they literally couldn't be a vibratory match to it, and then they had to, keep harming all the land around to densify Egypt so that they could become a vibratory match by killing, rape, and murder, and so on. Rituals, dark rituals, satanic rituals. So similar kind of theme, except for in their circumstance, it just sounds like they tried to move in and they couldn't quite hold it. They became flat-chested and thin, with scanty hair, fragile teeth, and weak digestions. Nervous diseases unknown to us wrought deadly havoc. Children were reared with difficulty. Between 1925 and 1940s, well, 925 and 940, the last census of which any record remains. Wow. Okay, so from 925 to 940, they started dying off. The population deceased from 90 million to less than 12 million. Wow. Climate changes, the like of which no other land had ever experienced. I believe it for sure. The climate changes. So the temperature began at the period and finished in less than 10 years, a work made easy by nervous temperaments and rapid lives. The temperature would skip in a single day from burning heat, and we do see that in America, at least we see that in Chicago, to winter's cold all the time, right? Like today is super hot, the other day it was like freezing. So no constitution could withstand it, and the vast continent became once more an empty wilderness. So he's saying that it's basically, it's happened before. There we are. There's the confirmations that they did even populate this area while there were still though indigenous in the other lands. So they were in the more, say, civilized cities with the Tartarian buildings. We'll take your questions soon. Well, let me see what questions you have that I can answer now really quick before I keep going. Well, this is just amazing. Everyone always talks about those 1,000 years missing, or they talk about like they added the one. They kind of added it, but then they didn't, because it was really 1,000 years missing that we don't know of this civilization in America that was abandoned for 1,000 years. Okay. Thank you for the streaming live, currently 124. Okay, so then questions. What is the difference between Grand Central Sun and the suns that came from crystals of the trees? The Grand Central Sun is basically like source. I think that's what people mean when they say that. Source, and then the multiple suns that are the light to the construct of the stars or the construct of the planets. So every star is its own star to many different planetary beings or planetary planes of existence or spheres, and the sun's power up, it's a battery to that galaxy or that star system. So what does she do during the day of the dead, the goddess of death? What does she do? Good question. Oh, okay. I might channel her. What do you guys think? Let me know in comments. You want me to channel her? And she can tell you who she is and how she eradicates and Takes away the power from pedos. Let's go. I'll add that to my list if you guys want to hear her. I feel like I would need to go in channel and let her tell you what she does on the Day of the Dead. So we'll think about that, adding her to our list. The next one is, were the native Indians original natives of American lands? Yes, they were. It's said that the history has been hijacked, I believe. They are the native, they're original here, of course. They were here originally. Everywhere you see indigenous, they're the original, say, beings of that land. Okay, I don't see any other questions. All right, I'll continue on here then. Okay. We'll probably go another half an hour. Let's see if we can finish this. Yes, please channel her. All right, let's go. Oh, yeah, she's added to my list. Let's go. Okay, so. So we're on page 34. So. Where were we? Became once more empty. So became once more an empty wilderness. Yep. Okay, much more of the same nature, he told us, but I am too sleepy to write longer. He explored the rest of the mansion, finding many things of interest. I caused several objects to be carried aboard to Zaitol, their ship. Next day, May 14. That'd be freaky if we ended up on May 16 today. Let's see where we end up at. Okay. Okay. Someone saying, okay, Gina said, is they are saying the oldest American coin minted in the US is Fujio cent or Franklin cent, was minted in 1787. But the oldest one was minted in 405 BC, called the Sicilian coin. But was that America? Just talking about America. Yeah. So 1787 looks like the oldest American coin. That makes sense, because they probably collected coins too, like some do nowadays. Okay. Found in America. Oh, interesting. Okay. So 405 BC, but I mean that's what they say, but we don't know, right? You never know if it's true with them. Okay, so May 14, hotter than yesterday. In the afternoon, we were rowed up the river and landed for a short walk. It is unsafe to brave the sun. The more I learn of these Americans, the less interesting they become. Naful is of much the same mind, judging from our conversation today as we walked along together. It was in this wise. Kan Li, how alike the houses, how monotonous. These objects are now in the Museum of the Imperial College at Tehran. What? For real? Can you look into that, Gina? These objects, called ZLOTUHB, are now in the Museum of Imperial College at Tehran, TEHERAN. Let's see if you can find those objects. Send me a link if you do. Okay. The objects that they took from America when they found it? You're joking. Let's see if you find something. They probably have them hidden now, but back in 1889 when it printed, it was in the museum. Wow. Okay. So page 35, Naful. So also were the occupants. They thought alike, worked alike, ate, dressed, and conversed alike. They read the same books. They fashioned their garments as directed, with no regard for the size or figure of the individual, and copied to a stitch the fashions of Europeans. Kan Li. But the close-fitting apparel of the European must have been sadly uncomfortable in the heat of American summer. Naful. So probably it was. Stiff boxes of varying patterns adorning the heads of men, curious jackets with tight sleeves encased the body. The feet throbbed and burned in close-fitting casings of unwieldy leather, and linen made stiff by artificial means was drawn tightly about the neck. Okay. And then Kangni, Allah, what idiots. Naful, even so are they considered. Interesting. Kind of sounds like the Victorian, or like kind of like like Victorian, or like Romeo and Juliet area. I mean era. Okay. So next one is Kanli. To what quality of their minds do you attribute such love of needless suffering? Naful, it was their desire to be like others, a natural feeling in vulgar people. Now again, it's been 1,000 years. Do they really know? But hey. So May 15, a fair wind from the west today. We weighed anchor, and I'm having a bit of a twilight, you all. The fact that we're reading this right now in May, and I think this is why we've been waiting to do this, because then we wouldn't have had the synchronicity that we're reading them the same pages, you all, at the same time. Now, those of you who are on our Patreon, you understand what I'm talking about, how time is not linear and time is spiral. So we have waves that are happening right now. It's getting trippy. The way time happens is in waves. So you have a wave like this, a wave like this. So there are points too, and it could also happen like a spiral. If you have a spiral, here, waves and spirals. There's a spiral. Okay, so we are right here in 3 points here. We're connecting to that year right now because we're reading it, and we're also since there's no time and there's only the quantum realm and quantum existence, we could literally be walking with them, looking at all this, remote viewing it. Yeah. So the 3 dots to the spiral represent different times and dates that match up. So like, say for example, go watch Einstein and all those series in Patreon so you could understand. But like, if I were to a wave, let me show you a frequency wave, and the way time works is so like, oh, it's a long story. Philadelphia experiment. When I talked about that on Patreon, it explains it. Okay, so the way time works is that it meets up in waves. Okay, so like this, waves. Okay, before the Philadelphia experiment, it met up in years of for 43, 83, 40s. So they were about 20 and 40 years apart. Okay, so in order to access, say this is this wave here is, let me make a new wave. Say this wave, okay, we're in 2025. Okay. Today is May 16, 2025. 43 and 83. So it depends if we're going by when the time space rip was made after 1943, because it's different now. But before that, back then it was every 40 years. Let's just go with the 40-year understanding. So May 16, 2025. The last, so take away 40 years from 2025. What does that put us at? 25. 40 years. Help me out, guys. Type it in. Take away 40 years from 2025. That's 19. I can't do math when I'm in the quantum. It's so hard. 2025. 10 years, 35, maybe 1990. would it be 1985? No, I think it's 1985. Yeah, 1985. You guys are not typing it. You guys must be having a hard time too. Okay, so May 16. These waves cannot connect to one another unless they are the exact date in increments of typically 40. But again, it is changed, so now you could access them before the Philadelphia experiment. You do every 40 years. Thank you, 1985. But now you can access them. That's really convoluted, but okay. So we're in 1985 here. So we can technically access every year within 40 increments of one another right now. So 2025 to this wave of 1982. I explain it in there. It's a lot easier the way I explain it because we take hours explaining the Philadelphia experiment. The other thing is that, so the waves happen is that they happen every 20 years. So for example, 20 years from now would have been down here in this wave, which would have been 2005. So it happens these waves happen in every 20 years. 1985, 2005, 2025. But the way that you can only access is you have to access this wave up here, not through time travel, not this wave down here. So if like you were to do 20 years from that would have been 2000. So 20 years from that would have been 1985. So like, was it 19? From 2005, 20 years would have been 1985. Oh, that adds up to the same thing. I don't think I'm adding this correctly. Let me, hold on, give me a minute. Oh, yeah, I am adding this correctly. Okay. So technically from this point, so these are 40 years apart right here. This year to this year cannot connect unless you're 40 years apart from each other. Now, this wave down here, this is your 20-year apart increment. 20 year. So it goes, the wave goes 20, 20. But if you were to go wave to wave, mountain to mountain, or frequency peak to peak through quantum accelerator, then you would be connecting the top peak of this frequency time travel wave. Okay, so most times you cannot time travel unless you're that on that exact date of last year. So for example, May 16 last year, or it's easier now to time travel like that, where you will get messages in dream times and from your higher self or from your future self you from that exact date. So say you're going to buy a home and you haven't quite made the decision yet, and then you have a dream, and you have a dream of the future you from the future where you are in the home. The only way that the future you can access you and give you that message in the now, it has to be the exact date. So say 5 years from now you are in a home, so the future you from 5 years from now, from say May 16, is talking to you, giving you the dream 5 years later in that exact date. You understand what I'm saying? It gets trippy. It's easier when I can explain it for hours. Anyways, okay. Hopefully that made sense. Okay. Okay, so that's what's trippy about this, is that we are here in part 3, you all, which I totally did not plan. It just happens, as always, divinely. On the date that they're walking. What? What year? It'll get even more trippier for you if you're in New York, where they're walking parallel to you, right? Because time doesn't exist. Their time space is happening in the now, and our time space is happening in the now. So yeah, that is crazy. I don't know about the year. I don't think they ever said the year here. Maybe as we go along we'll discover that. But it's also quite interesting that why May? Why did they discover this in May? It's crazy. Okay. I have to go back and see. Oh. Oh, okay. It says according to page 13. Let me try to find it. Hold on. Let me heart this. Okay, we'll be back to page 36, but according to page, let's figure this out. This is confusing. Share this. Okay. Aboard the Slatab in the year of, now that's a 2, but it could be a J or an I, 951. So hold on, let's think about this for a minute. 951, how does that add up to the now? Time is trippy, you all. Okay, I'm trying to figure it out, but it's trippy. It's like Mandela affecting in my head. Because could it be 2051 or could it not? When they landed, it is trippy. Could it have been BC, like before Christ? Or let me know what your guys' thoughts are in comments. Is that a 2 or is that a you know, a number that's been added in 951? I mean, they could have. What if? No. What if? Okay, so the 1,000 years missing, you all. What if we're not in 2025? What if we're in 3025? There could be and that's another 1,000 years missing. So are they finding this? So so according to them, they got kind of whatever, they went extinct over here in say 1951, but it's a J or M. But and then they came 1,000 years later in 2951. They changed all our history. What number are we really in, you all? Who knows? Okay, so according to this, they discovered in 2951. But then that gets trippy because it's like, if they discovered it in that time frame, they definitely took. So has it been lost for technically? Well, their time technically 1,000 years, in our time, yeah. So technically, it was lost for 1,000 years. Their time. Was it lost more than 1,000 years? Well, the Americas, well, it could have been lost more than 1,000 years, and near, because whatever, the conquistadores came like in like 1600, right? So I feel that this was maybe 500 to 600 years later did they finally become to colonize it, after they ran into it here. So it says 2951, so it might be 2,000 years missing in our time. That's what I'm getting, you all. You're right. Oh my God, that is crazy. Okay, I'm gonna try to move on from that because that is tripping me out. Okay, all right, let's go back to, let's see if I get more on that, but it's so like twisted. It's so hard to look at it because it's like the numbers have been completely messed up, but it makes sense because how many times have they really reset us here in the Americas? And we know that it's been at least more than 3 or even more that we don't even know about. Okay. All right. Anyway, so we understand that time happens in waves, okay? Technically, they're walking in their now time space as we're reading this book. Crazy. Okay, May 15. A fair wind from the west today. We weighed an anchor and sailed up the eastern side. Eastern side of the city. I did this as Nafol finds the upper portion of the town much richer in relics than the lower. Okay, so the upper town has more riches than the lower, which seems to have been given up to commercial purposes. We sailed close under one of the great monuments in the river and are at a loss to divine its meaning. Many iron rods still dangle from the tops of each of the structures as they are in a line one with the other. We thought at first they might have been once connected and served as a bridge, but we soon saw they were too far apart. Okay, what? Came to anchor about 3 miles from the old mooring, up the river and down the north. So this is what it looks like. So they thought they were bridges, but they're too far apart. What were they? Does anybody who lives in New York, or do you recognize this? Does this look like something anywhere in New York that you might have seen? Huh. It looks like a bridge, but then I also feel that it's some kind of like train system, but it was one of those like Tartarian train systems where they look really futuristic. I feel that that's what that is. They're connecting back and forth. Okay. Let me know if you recognize this though. Okay. Next page. What page are we on? Oh, what happened here? What happened? Hold on. I think I got some of the pages mixed up here. Page 36, 37, 38. So weird. Page 38 is empty in my book. And it's the only empty page in the book. What did they not print there? That's freaky. I never noticed that. No, there are other pages empty. Oh, okay. Feels like there's something missing there though. Okay, page 39. Where are we, Pam? What happened here? Oh, why am I missing pages? Okay. Did I mix them up? Hold on. I jumped from page 39. I know I took them all. That's weird. Okay. Well, my apologies because I don't have time to take them right now because we are live. Somehow page 39, but I feel like there's something is happening there. Why do we jump from page 39 and then this picture of the bank that says Fifth Avenue or hotel maybe? No, hotel? Why does it jump from? Okay, well, it's just a couple pages. Page 39 to 46 so this is page 46. Well, this is like, why? Okay, I don't know what's happening there. Well, give me a second. Let me try to take pictures really quick. I want you guys to see the pages. Hold on. There's another meaning to why they're missing. I'll figure it out in a minute. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. There's definitely had to be a part 4, guys. 44. And then, yeah, okay. Let's see how fast my phone will upload the pictures to my laptop here. Or I could text them to myself. Okay. I got this, I got this. So that way you guys can see what I'm seeing. Okay. We got it, we got it. Okay. Okay. Hold on, waiting for the pictures. Okay, so we're on page 39. Okay. Make sure it shares correctly. Here we go. Looks like we're good. Okay, so page 39. So, so came to anchor about 3 miles from the old mooring, up the river and down north. Okay, south, east, and west, the ruins stretch away indefinitely, seemingly without end. Am anxious about Lev El Hide, he went ashore and has not returned. It is now after midnight. Here we are, May 16. We are here, guys, today. So what happens May 16 with them? Praise Allah, my dear comrade is alive. This morning we landed early and began our search for him. As we passed before the brick building which bears the inscription, Del Monaco. High upon its front, we heard his voice from within in answer to our calls. We entered, and after climbing the ruined stairway, found him seated upon the floor above. He had a swollen leg from an ugly sprain, and various bruises were also his, while the others were constructing a litter on which to bear him. Hence we conversed together. The walls about us bore traces of having once enclosed a hall of some beauty. In idling about, I pulled open the decaying door of an old closet and saw upon the rotting shelves many pieces of glass and earthenware of fine workmanship. Taking, let me find the next page, 40. Okay, page 40. Okay. One in my hand, a snail, a small wine cup of glass. Sorry. One in my hand, a small wine cup of glass. I approached my comrade, calling his attention to its slender stem and curious form. As his eyes fell upon it, they opened wide in amazement. I also observed a trembling of his hand as he reached forth to touch it. He then recounted to me his marvelous adventure of the night before, but saying before he began, "Thou knowest, O Prince, I am no believer in visions. I should never tell the tale, but for thy discovery of this cup. I drank from such an one last night, proffered by a ghostly hand." I would have smiled, but he was much in earnest. As I made a movement to sit beside him, he said, "Taste first, O my master, of the grapes hanging from yonder wall." So in other words, wine, it looks like alcohol he drank. Okay. Okay. I did so, and to taste first, O my master, of the grapes hanging from yonder wall. I did so, and to my great surprise, found them of an exquisite flavor. Okay. So they had alcohol back then. Sounds like the Al Capone. I mean, it's not the first time they had alcohol in Americas. So let's see. Next page, 41. Of an exquisite flavor, finer even than the cultivated fruits of Persia, sweeter and more delicate, of a different nature from the wild grapes we have been eating. My astonishment appeared to delight him, and he said with a laugh, "The grapes are impossible, but they exist. Even more absurd is my story." And he then narrated his adventure. It was this. So this is what happened to him. Remember, he went missing. They found him. His leg is hurt, and apparently he's been drinking. What La Hyde saw. Yesterday, after nightfall, as he was hastening toward the Zatol, the ship, he fell violently upon some blocks of stone, wrenching his ankle and much bruising himself. Unable to walk upon his foot, he limped into this building to await our coming in the morning. The howling of wolves and other wild beasts as they prowled about the city drove him for safety to crawl up the ruins of the stairway to the floor above. As he settled himself in a corner of his hall, his nostrils were greeted with a delicious odor from the grapes above his head. He found them surprisingly good and ate heartily. He soon after fell into a sleep which lasted some hours, for when he awoke, the moon was higher in the heavens, the voice of the wolves were hushed, and the city was silent. Page 42. Let me get that. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Let me know. Hit thumbs up, you all. Hit thumbs up. Let me know in comments. You guys enjoying this? It's pretty captivating. It's also very, what is the word? It's like a thriller. Like, what? What do you mean? And it's also like so incredible to be able to find, written history that was once lost. It's beautiful. And to see it from the eyes of this prince, Persian prince, and his team. 42. As he lay in a reverie, much absorbed in his own thoughts, he gradually became aware of mysterious changes taking place as if by stealth about him. A decorated ceiling appeared to be closing over the hall. Mirrors and tinted walls slowly crept in place of ivy and crumbling bricks. A faint glow grew stronger and more intense until it filled the great room with a dazzling light. Then came softly into view a table of curious forms set out with flowers and innumerable dishes of glass and porcelain as for a feast. Standing about the room, he saw some men with beardless faces, all in black attire, whose garments bore triangular openings upon the chest to show the shirt beneath. These personages he soon discovered were servants. As he gazed in bewilderment, so what's going on? He's tripping because he had alcohol, huh? Oh, so basically like, wait, is it showing the right one? I don't think it's showing the right one. Where is it? Where is it? Wrong one. That was kind of cool. All right. So, as he gazed in bewilderment, there entered other figures, two by two, who took their seats about the table. So, oh my God. So basically, he's talking about how time is warping in his time space, you all, as he's kind of, you know, a little hallucinogenic, broke his kind of leg, is drinking. He's morphing with the time space of their time space, which means that he was in a time space in his, say, 2900, whatever, in May 16. Wait, are we in May 16 still? Hold on, hold on. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, I had no idea, guys. Are we in May 16? We are in May 16. I told you that'd be crazy if it got trippy like that. So we're in May 16. He's in May 16 telling his story about his leg. And then he is tapping into the May 16 time before they passed away. See that? The wave? This is why I had to explain the wave. So their time space of our time and space is speaking from his time and space, but then he's also echoing it to their time and space where he's seeing them. Kind of like ghosts, like, you know, when you're looking with your third eye. And if you want to learn how to, you know, sense and feel and know with your third eye, again, join us Isis Priestess course this Sunday. Come join us, males, females. Let's go, you all. Go to Patreon. So he's seeing two different time spaces, and I think it would look kind of like a vision or a dream. So he'd be in and out, especially if he's drunk and he's hurt. Yeah, wow. So he's seeing people. Oh, angel bumps. So as he gazed in bewilderment, there entered other figures, two by two, who took their seats about the table. These later corners, 60 or more, were men and women walking arm in arm, the women in rich attire of unfamiliar fashion and sparkling with precious stones. The men were clothed like this servants. They ate and drank and laughed and formed a brilliant scene. Level-Hyde rose to his feet and, moved by a curiosity he made no effort to resist, for he is a reckless fellow and knows no fear. He hobbled out into the room. They looked upon him in surprise. Whoa! They could see each other? Am I frozen or am I good? I think I'm good. Can you guys hear me? Gina, let me know if I'm frozen. I think we kind of just time warped there and I froze up on my screen. Okay, so for he is a reckless fellow and knows no fear. He hobbled out into the room. They looked upon him in surprise and seemed much amused at his presence. One of the guests, a tall youth with yellow mustache, approached him, offering a delicate crystal vessel filled with sparkling fluid. A crystal filled with sparkling. You can see me. Okay, good. Sparkling fluid. Level-Hyde took it. The youth raised another from the table, and with a slight gesture, as if in salutation, he said in words which made comrade understood. So a Philadelphia experiment just happened here, guys. Time connected to time, as the waves I explained, with him in his altered state of mind of being drunk. Though he swears it was a language unknown to him. We may meet again the 4th of next month. He then drank? What? So the guy raises his drink and tells him, we may meet again the 4th of next month. Would that be June 4th? No. That's trippy. I'll be in California that day. What? What are we talking about? Angel puffs. What? May we made again. Oh my God, this is getting crazy. We may meet again the 4th of next month, because technically they're in May, and he's saying that they're gonna meet again June 4th? Oh my God. Okay, I'm okay. All right, okay. He then drank the wine, and so did Levoy-Hyde. So somehow he like gave him wine from his time space? Okay, I'm fine. Let's keep going. Hereupon the others smiled as if at their comrade's wit, all save the woman, whose tender faces spoke more of pity than of mirth. The wine flew in his brain as he drank it, and things about him seemed to reel and spin. Wait, we're not, I didn't show you the page. Hold on. I'm on page 43. I got too excited there. Hold on, I'll show you the page I'm reading right now. Page 43. Okay, so this is what I was sensing when I said something was happening. Why am I missing these pages? This is getting time warped here. Live time warped. Page 43. Hold on, let me find it. Okay. Let me find it here. Page 43. I took page 43. Let me find that. Okay. Page 43 is trying to hide from me, even though I took it. 1 second. It makes sense when we're talking about time and time connecting. It's trippy too because I took the pictures in order, but the pictures have scrambled. So now I have to look through them as I send them. Okay. All right, that's fine. So page 43, this is, even the pictures are scrambling now. All right, I need a drink of water, 1 second. So this is what I was reading. So we may meet again the 4th of next month. See, it's right here. Okay. He then drank the wine, and so did Levelhide. Hereupon the others smiled as if at their comrade's wit, all save the woman, whose tender faces spoke more of pity than of mirth. The wine flew to his brain as he drank it, and things about him seemed to reel and spin. Strains of fantastic music burst upon his ears. Then all in rhythm the women joined their partners and whirled about him with a lightsome step, and moving with it, his throbbing brain seemed dancing from his head, the room itself all swaying and quivering. And now we're on page 44. Let me find that. Okay. Page 44. There we are. All right. It might end it here, guys. Let's see. Yeah, we'll end it at May 16, on May 16, 2025. We're only a page away. All right, so page 44. So with the melody grew dim and stole from view, the music softly died away. Again was silence, the moon above looking calmly down upon the livid walls. He felt like a drunken man upon the floor and did not wake till our voices called him. Oh, wow. Okay. So, I mean, he had a time travel experience and time warp to them. Whoa, and then he just woke up when they called for him. Such his tale, he has a clear head and is no liar. Wow. But so many grapes upon an empty stomach, with the fever from his swollen limb, might well explain it. Let's talk about that for a minute. If he had a fever, you ever have trippy visions when you have a fever? It's not fun, but you could tap in, a bit easier to the quantum, but I don't recommend it. Obviously, fevers are no good. But what happens is that what we understand that a particle, like how they use in CERN, particle accelerator, right? If you oscillate it and you heat it up to a certain temperature, a hotter temperature, it rises at a higher frequency. So the hotter the particle, the hotter the being, you rise. Same for the flame. Why, like, we're firebenders now, if you heard. You go check out the videos, we talked about that. I can't remember what video that was right now. but we showed you guys how we could touch the fire. It's an actual certificate I'm giving to people when they do retreats. You could touch the fire with your hand. It turns fourth dimensional as well as the fire. Now, when you look at the fire, it could run from 2,000 to 3,000 Fahrenheit. Why would we, as humans, be able to touch the fire at 2 to 3,000 Fahrenheit? I mean, technically, you should be burned, right? Because here, 100 degrees, you're already sweating. You're passing out, right? So so incredible how so then the fever is oscillating his brain to vibrate at a higher temperature, which then is allowing for him to somehow time travel to these people. Wow. And then remember how I teach, for those of you who do my courses and Patreon and my website, we teach how, or even the Buddha course, you could sign up to the Buddha course on my website, Buddha and the Consciousness, and yeah, and he teaches us how the brain, the consciousness, sorry, they're going out, they need to go out now. So the brain and the consciousness, this is how you time travel, and your brain consciousness is set up to be able to do that. So then you have a brain that's heated by a fever. Then, you know, he drank some. And the question is, how did if his leg was hurt, how did he even get up to get the alcohol? He couldn't have had. So this is another proof that from his time space, somebody handed him the alcohol, just like he explained. You understand? Because he has no recollection since he fell and hurt himself. All right, this is making sense. Wow, this is incredible. Okay, swollen limb. All right, so next, bears meet for dinner. This morning toward noon, Kazundam, the second officer, wandered on ahead of us and entered a large building in pursuit of a rabbit. He was about descending to the basement below when he saw, close before him, a bear leisurely mounting the marble stairs. Kazundam is no coward, but he turned and ran as he never ran before. The bear, who seemed of a sportive nature, also ran. And in close pursuit of our friend. Luckily for my friend, he happened. And that's where we drop off, you all. And this is what's so trippy, is that I took those pictures page by page and I put them in that folder where I was reading it to you guys. And all those pages were missing when he time warps, you all. That's how we're gonna figure it out. And I'm like really like lagging here. The pages were missing when he time warped. You all, I can't make these things up. I cannot. If you know me, you know I'm honest in all ways, and that is crazy. Wow. Okay. So we're on page, okay, so this is where now, those are the exact pages that went missing. I wow myself sometimes. The divine wows me. That is crazy. So from page, that one where there was a bridge, where we begin to hear the story of his time warp. Crazy. So let's see. From page 37 to page 46. 46, my birthday. Those pages were missing. So here we are on page 47, which is this image here. And we're going to conclude it here, because you all not going to believe it, what they find. There's the bear that they were explaining. Who they find there later on, and that would be in part 4. And we'll finish it off, because we have to finish it off, because this is incredible. We're going to finish off May 16, which is today. Okay, so May 16. Luckily, my friend, we happen to be near. Otherwise, instead of our eating bear's meat, the bear might have launched quickly at Kazundam in the shady corridors of the Fifth Avenue Hotel. Do you guys know this Fifth Avenue Hotel? Any of you guys from New York? Do you know this place? That would be trippy. Let me know if you know it. Send me a picture, send me a link if you know this. Right here, Fifth Avenue Hotel. So next time we will continue, and I don't know what date it's gonna be, but I know that it will be divine. So yeah, get ready for another time travel experience through this book. So we are currently on page 47, and we have to finish off this book as page 78. We've done incredible today. Questions, comments, you all. Let me look at your questions. This is fun, you all. Oh my God. Hopefully you guys were able to keep up with all that craziness of time warp. Wow. Yeah, you definitely can't make this stuff up. What was probably him in his future? Can you explain that? Somebody wrote, it was probably him in his future. What does that mean? Okay. Waldorf, maybe, or Trump Tower? That building? Huh. Oh, no, that's trippy. Hold on. And it's Waldorf. Didn't they mention him in the book? At some point. Make a note. We'll have to go into that, Gina. Oh yeah, they said that the hotel is what was left of him. And that's where they have that experience with the... Oh, that was the hand giving him the wine? I'm trying to remember. I gotta find it. Where do they mention Waldorf? They mention it here. Hold on. If you remember, tell me in chat. Waldorf is on Park Avenue. I'm trying to remember when they reference Waldorf on here. Hold on. Find the page. I'll have to find it, make a note. I can't look through it right now, but I know they mentioned it. Okay, we'll look through that next time. And then, so let me look at your questions and comments. Okay, yeah, I know you guys, you don't have any questions. Don't have quite questions for this. So, but you do have comments. You love the vibrations of the wind chimes. Thank you. You can't wait for the series of Yeshua. Me too. Like, how incredible is he? You know that it was a lot more than they claim he was, and it's 133 years. Think about what we do in 5 years, or 1 year, or 1 month, or 1 day. Imagine what he did in a fourth dimensional state where time did not exist, you all. Or it was, in his time, it definitely didn't exist. Some people on different parts of the earth, if they were more lower density, then time did exist for them, but not as fast as it goes now, or slow as it goes now. It would have been a very long, prolonged period. That is a long time. In other words, yeah, cool, huh? The Lord of the Rings spoke of this, how they got their sun and moon, like from 2 trees. What? Don't play with me. When the darkness destroyed them, the light beings of the sun and moon in our skies. Okay. I haven't read the books. I just watched the movies. But wow. They explained it. So yeah, so if you read The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, at some point the writer says that what he was writing is real. It was a real story of times that came before. And then he wrote it in the 1800s. Wow. And I really do feel he's talking about like the England, UK area. Okay, a couple of days ago, I had a dream where I heard, well, okay, there's additional confirmation about the sun and moon, guys. Oh my God, that makes me emotional. Like, what? The trees that birth the suns and the moons. Why? Wow. I mean, what? Like, I don't even know how to talk right now. I could feel that energy. Like, wow. I could see and sense it, how the trees' energy became a crystal and turned into the sun and the moon. It's just like, wow. Okay, so a couple of days ago, I had a dream where I heard decreased people are descending. Do you mean deceased people? Decreased people are descending from the sky. What? Decreased? Deceased? Or decreased? It might be connected to this. A whole civilization is awakened as we are going through this. I think you meant deceased people are descending from the sky. Yeah, I think it's definitely connected. Okay. I spoke about the Pope at 144. Of course I did. That was La Santa Muerte. Yes, good news about the Vatican and corruption. Very good news. Have literally been looking at videos found on coins. Have you? Cool. Send me some. Send to my email, risingphoenixaura@gmail. It was already called the United States of America. Yes, coin. Yes, please channel her. Good, thank you, we will. Time feels like it's shifting constantly. Yes. 1074 years missing from 951 to 1,074 years missing from 951 to 2025. That makes sense. It says 2051, so it might be 2,000 years missing in our time. It's trippy. There was no time construct. Who knows? There is a, but we do know that it's either 1,000 or 2,000 years missing. There is a pandemic every 100 years. Yeah, there is so many resets. Yep. Bridge looking picture. That's the New York Hudson River across from the Empire State Building. It looks like, whoa, really? Let's get visuals of that. So that is, you said, the bridge looking picture, that's New York Hudson River across. Let's see. New York Hudson River. Yeah, but it looks like it's been those don't look the same, huh? It looks like it's been rebuilt. That's crazy, huh? Look. So they just rebuilt the bridge over the old bridge here, and that doesn't look old. That looks pretty new. Let's see it. Or maybe, let's see, let's zoom in on it. Oh, it does look old. Oh my God, look at that, you all. It is the same bridge. Look at that, the Tartarian. So they rebuilt the bridge on the columns. But that's interesting because some parts of it look new and some parts of it look older. And that makes sense. Oh, I was looking at this one that looks newer. So not that one, but this one. Wow. Cool. Thank you for finding that. You guys are awesome. Okay. So that's where they were crossing and they saw and they noted. Wow, this is trippy. Yeah. Just the fact that we're talking about this on May 16 when he time warped to their time and space, that's incredible. We're all creating this time travel experience together. Thank you, everyone. If the coin, thank you. If the coin dated 920 already states the United States of America, then they already changed it to make it 1920. Then it would be like at least 2,880 now. Yeah. Uh-huh. I agree. But probably way more. I agree. What year are we really in? About Saks Fifth Avenue, OMG. Yes, Trump Tower on the 5th. No way. That's a sign. Why would they put that? You are in the book. That's trippy. Okay. Well, let's think about the symbology. Okay. They run into the bear on Fifth Avenue. Let's look at the image. Okay, let's talk about this. And it's Trump's building. Okay. So what happens is that I run into the bear. The bear is trying to eat them. They stop the bear. Bigger symbology. We love bears though. We don't want any bears being harmed here. But in this perspective, let's just think about the bear as a predator, you all. So right here, it's telling you that this building here is going to be part of taking down the predators, and you have the power to hold the arms to take down the predator, and you can save, say, your friends, your colleagues, your family, because you could be the bearer of the gun taking the predator down, or you could be also running away from the predator, but you are saved. Ultimately, you are safe either way, whether you're holding the weapon or not, or running away from the bear, because the predator will be taken down by the energies of this building. Drop the mic. Boom. You guys get it? And that is how you understand symbology. When you start connecting your third eye, you all come to Sequoia. Got a couple weeks. Come join us. The world becomes incredible. Watch the testimonials when you're able to sense and see things at a deeper level, how we are doing this today. All right, what else? Go to California. We're creating time travel experience. Yeah. Oh, okay. Could be the GW bridge before it was built. Yeah, but I mean it looks exactly like that bridge. The Hudson River Bridge, what's in the picture, the stone, exactly the same shape. A lot of bridges are like that. If you look, the new ones built on old foundations, usually in the water. Wow. Makes sense. There is a photo of Fifth Avenue Hotel that looks like that. Cool. Thank you guys. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Wow. Okay. I am amazed right now. Okay. I kept wondering why they kept making me wait to do this. I was like, they're like 10. How many videos, you all, did we deliver to get to this book series today? So in between, and it was 2 months, over 2 months ago, guys, we did part 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 videos in between just to get to this, and just because we needed to deliver this on May 16 to connect to their time space. Okay, we're good. All right, love you guys, honor you and respect you. Thank you. You are incredible. Oh, okay. Gina figured it out. She said in the notes at top, you talked about the Astar family, and he is connected to the building of the Waldorf Astoria, the one he mentioned. Whoa. Something's going on there. We'll look into that more next time. All right. Wow, you all. I love you, honor you, respect you. Come join our retreats. California, come on. A lot of you guys watch me in California. What are you waiting for? Come. We got a beautiful space, and we're gonna learn so much through aura hypnosis and raw Reiki entity removal. You're gonna walk your most organic timeline. You're gonna be so incredible. You're just gonna be able to sense and see the invertedness and not consent to it. And you're gonna heal yourself, becoming your own self healer, and heal your family and friends. Otherwise, I'll see you in Ireland. And thank you. I love you. Talk to y'all next time. You're incredible.